guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you have not seen these videos before, welcome back. If you have, my intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. I'm just enjoying my cup of coffee this morning, so cheers. I wanted to pop on and share so many things to share. I'm going to be doing, this is not a light language video. This is just more of a keep it simple starseeds video. Just some tips and pointers and energy share about what I've been recognizing, seeing, observing, and hearing as reminders from my higher guidance team. So if you're interested in a light language video, I have plenty of them. You might just want to go check out another video. I will be doing another light language video probably today or tomorrow. And I'm also planning on doing, well, I'll talk about what I'm planning on doing maybe at the end if I still have room left on my film. Oh boy. Anyways, what I wanted to share was that things have shifted dramatically for me over the course of the last year. For those of you who have followed my channel for that time period, namaste, may the light within me see the light within you, and I send you much gratitude and thanks for being a part of this shift together, because I can promise that if you guys have followed what I've been doing, I'm sure that you've seen the changes in me, and there's probably been a ton of changes in you as well. We're all shifting in this together, right? When I first started doing this channel, I was very, so let me just go back and say, I've been doing this work for my whole life, and the work doesn't really ever end. So for those of you out there going, when is this ever going to end? When am I going to have to stop doing this? Maybe never. And it's time to start enjoying it or finding joy in it, right? There are some of those maybe that have found this video that haven't done the work. And again, I've mentioned this in a few other videos. Just because someone does the work doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to, I don't even like to use the term wake up, but I will say wake up faster. However, because it depends on how much trauma we're working through, what our life experiences have been, what our soul contracts are, what our things are that we're cleaning up. And for some people, it's required that they do the work. And for others, maybe who don't have as much baggage or karma or decisions that they've made, choices that they've made that have put this in this space, they may not have to do any of the work at all. So they've maybe done it in previous lifetimes. I personally chose to do the work so that I could help others do the work or recognize what they could be doing to assist them on their journey. If I hadn't done the work, I wouldn't, or if I hadn't gone through the life experiences that I've had over this lifetime, not to mention the 30 other lifetimes I've had on Earth, and the many other lifetimes beyond that, I wouldn't be able to share or recognize intuitively how I could assist another on their journey, right? So sometimes it's a gift, these obstacles and challenges that we go through. And what I wanted to talk a little bit about was the galactic flavor, as well as inner Earth, Lumeria, and all of that. When I first started doing these videos, I was having downloads and activations and memories come up. I remembered my lifetime being blue, and I'm just going galactic here. I've had quite a few lifetimes as a blue being. Blue is my favorite color, and green. But having said that, I saw myself as this blue being. I have had meditations where I've seen all of these versions of myself as plasma, as part of this like octopus collective, of part of this collective of beings that were very connected to the earth. I've seen myself as a shaman. I've seen myself living in Africa. I've had dreams about the children that I've had in previous lifetimes. And these were all memories that came up as I did the work. And what does that mean? I'll do a video separately about the work and another time. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because what I've noticed is it means something different for everyone, to answer that question that I just put out there. So when I started doing these videos, it was really important for me to connect with my Lemurian, with my my light language and my galactic family, because I was going through a very difficult time in my life. Maybe this was longer than a year ago, but it seems so long ago. I was going through a very challenging time in my life, or I had just come through, I should say, a very challenging several years. And during that time, I would reach out and say, where's my family? It can't just be here. It can't just be on Earth. I'm not like anybody else I know, right? This goes back to me talking about people feeling alone and isolated. I felt like nobody got me. I felt like there was language coming out that was obviously from another planet. So it was challenging because I wanted that physical blue Andromedan to show up in my living room and say, you are Andromedan, and you've got this flavor and that flavor. This is the language that you are speaking. These are your roots. This is your heritage. And I'm going to go backwards for a moment and say it's important for many of us to know what our roots and heritage are. And I get asked all of the time in session, where am I from? Where's my galactic family? I see this, I see that. Am I speaking Andromedan? Are you speaking Syrian? Is this Arcturian? And my answer quite frequently is, does it really matter? And yes, it matters. I'm not knocking that it doesn't matter. But for me to get up and go to work, or go take care of my children, or go take care of my mother who's in a home. By the way, I'm using examples. These are not applicable to me. I'm just sharing. These are some of the life things that people are going through. Is it going to assist me to know that I'm from Andromeda in one of my lifetimes? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes we need to hear that so that we know, or more importantly, it validates for us that feeling that there's something beyond life on Earth. But what I would like to venture to say is that we know, most of us, innately, we get a feeling. We have a tendency to hear a particular language, or a particular channeler, or a particular message that is from Andromeda, for example, and we get all tingly, or our heart flutters, or we feel like, oh, that is home. It just feels like coming home. And so I'm sharing this because it isn't about, for myself, and this is my own journey, seeing a blue person show up in my living room that looks like they're from, what's that movie, Avatar? To say, come with me, I am your guide. Because ultimately what my guidance team has shared with me, and they really are an entourage. I don't just have one being who assists me from Andromeda. I have beings from everywhere, every place that I've ever been connected to, or allow myself to connect into, that is fully aligned with my highest aspect, which is multidimensional, right? Now, currently connected to all of those places, is what comes through. Whatever's needed in that now moment, or whatever I'm allowing and in alignment with. So if that makes sense. So for me, I would break down. I was going through some emotional turmoil, and I'd say, why don't you just show me? Why don't you just show up for me and have a ship land on my front yard? Well, first of all, a lot of these beings don't have ships. I'm just going to say that right now. They don't have to travel in a ship because they're so high dimensional that there is no necessary vehicle other than light, sound, vibration. So I want to share that first of all. We have a tendency to think our brothers and sisters are going to show up in some type of ship. And that is perhaps maybe a Pleiadian. Not that they have to use a ship either, depending on, because So let me go backwards. We have a tendency to think the Pleiades is just one version. That would be like saying I'm from the United States. So United States is where I consider myself home, but that doesn't make me a United Statesian, right? I obviously am Caucasian, but that doesn't make me just Caucasian. And I'm comparing that to Pleiadian. My Caucasianism is Native American, German, Dutch, Irish, right? I'm a mutt. I'm a hybrid. And we all are, which is a whole other video. But the reason I'm bringing this up is I felt it when they showed up. I dreamed about them. I would see them in meditation. And when I see them, sometimes it was me. It is me showing up to show me this is you in the future. This is what you have been in the past. Therefore, that is what you are now in this particular skin suit technology, this vehicle. So I just the other thing is, so I noticing how we're feeling is why it's so important, because many of us are asking for our brothers and sisters to show us and to show up, and they are, but not necessarily the way we think they are. We assume based on movies and programming and other people's experiences that this is how it should look or how it should sound or how it should feel. And it really is different for everyone, because our multidimensionality does not fit into a box of one particular language or one particular spaceship or one particular color or one particular shape, and so on and so forth. Just like none of us fit into that, even though it may look that way. That is a linear representation of much more than meets the eyes. So the biggest message that I wanted to share with us, looking back, is letting go of the expectation that something is going to show up for us in the way that we want it to show up. And this particular message is about our galactic family. When I was in sheer moments of just really low, and I just felt totally alone. I was speaking light language and people thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. I was having visions and seeing I'm getting goosebumps. I had goosebumps on and off this whole conversation. I was having nightmares and then seeing in meditation, but then I would open my eyes and still see it there, of my children. But I didn't know that at the time because they looked like zombies, because they had died from malaria in a lifetime that I lived in Africa, okay? Show up for me to show me that I needed to let that go. I had carried it over from a past life and I had never been able to fully let them go. I'm using this as an example. So these things were happening and I just was calling out, just show up for me. Show me that there's more, that what I'm seeing, I'm not crazy. And what would happen is I was looking for the spaceship. I was looking for the avatar, not recognizing that I am the avatar, right? I just have to laugh. I get a little emotional too. And so what would happen is I would be standing out under the stars at night and I would just start crying. And I would ask for a sign from the bottom of my heart, truly. And in that moment, a shooting star would go across the sky. I mean, the biggest, brightest shooting star I've ever seen, for example. And it would be just enough to get me through, as long as I believed that that was my sign. And I wasn't like, okay, it's just a shooting star. Because it's more than that. That's the magic in the mundane. That's the magic in our everyday existence that we oftentimes forget to notice, which is our request, which is our guides showing up to us in the best way that they can in that moment, or in the best way for us in that moment. Because you see, for me, I didn't need to see them. I needed to have faith and I needed to trust. And if they would have just shown up on my front yard, sure, it would have been really cool. And I still think it'd be really cool. But I realized that that wasn't what I needed in that moment, even though that's what I wanted. I would ask in my meditation and I would hear Carrie look up outside, and I would look up and I would hear things like command or ask the cloud to stop. And I would follow my guidance, which is me, my higher self, telling me, communicating with me. And I would see the cloud literally morph into an angel looking being or a face, or it was, you can't bring it into, it seems so simple. I would see literally a color form in the sky when there was nothing else around. Pink, in the middle of the day, magenta, right over my house, or neon blue. And it's something I could point out, and somebody else who's not in that frequency, not in that vibration, or doesn't get it would go, yeah, it's pretty. But for me, I knew that that was the sign I was looking for. And for me, following those clues and those breadcrumbs has led me to being able to recognize in my meditation and be able to see, I guess, clairvoyantly or hear clairaudiently, or to intuit what it was, because I had been seeing it my whole life, but I had ignored it because I had been expecting something different and something more. So what has happened also in addition to that, not to say that it won't show up, it has happened for other people. And by the way, I have seen spaceships. I've seen lights in the sky. I've seen UFOs and what other people have described. And I've actually been in them in my dreams as well. But that's a whole other video. And that's kind of the point of this though, is a year ago or 2 years ago, I wanted that galactic flavor. And now here it is, as I sit and make this particular video and sharing, the biggest message that has come through, especially over the last 6 months, but really over the last 3 months, is you are home in this galaxy, galacticy, right, on Earth. We've got Lemuria, Atlantis, Inner Earth, Agartha, other realities that are inside of Earth. We've got all of our Venetians and beings from the moon and other planets, right? We've got multidimensional galaxies, Andromeda and Arcturian energy. But all of that is really irrelevant if we are not doing what we need to do in order to grow, in order to create, in order to expand and experience our life here now. And that's why I wanted to just kind of share this. So for me, I still bring through languages that have flavors from all of these places. Okay, but there are also languages and linguistics that are lost languages from planet Earth, right? My ancestors. And they're also my own flavor. So I'll be doing a video on light language, and I'll be posting it on my website and blog eventually, so that people can have a little guidance if they're learning how to speak light language or to understand what they're speaking. But that's my point, is that what my guides have been reminding me is get back into here. Because if we're not balanced and a spaceship shows up on our front yard and we're in a place of fear, we're going to doubt. We're going to say, well, are you a good guy or are you a bad guy? Because we're in that linearity. Are you my guide, or are you, all of these logical feel. If we're not feeling our own discernment and what our body is telling us, and we're not really tuning into our own environment, and we're not noticing the little things, then how are we going to see, and how are the big things going to affect us? And so many of us are looking, again, I'm going to go backwards. I wanted to channel, and I wanted to connect with my Andromedan. And I did. But what has happened is that has flip-flopped for me, or excuse me, that's not the right word. Morphed, evolved for me, that I'm remembering that that's not the only reason I'm here. And I don't necessarily need to only speak that language. And I don't necessarily only need to connect with that planetary system or galactic system, because some of these places aren't planets. And I want to just talk a little bit about that. There was a teaching that one, and I apologize if I run out of room. This video is going on longer than I expected. There's a teaching where I don't know who speaks about it. Maybe it was Buddha. And they describe a bicycle wheel, and so people say, well, why can't I, or it might have been the law of attraction and Abraham Hicks. I'm not sure. But picture a bicycle wheel, and the bicycle wheel is spinning. And as you watch the bicycle go by, you see the bicycle and you see all the wheels spinning, but you don't see the spokes on the wheel. And this stuck with me for a long time because I was like, how come I can't see my guides? And if the bicycle wheel stops spinning, okay, you can see the spokes on it and you can see the individual spokes. But if you didn't know that, you would just see this one motion. And the way that I interpret it is our guides, our angelics, our galactics are that wheel spinning. And by the way, a spoke on a wheel isn't just one, it's multiple spokes. Because oftentimes our guides and our galactic brothers and sisters are a collective. They're not just one avatar. They're not just one human. They're not just one light being. They are a collective of energies, vibrations that are coming through in a frequency or holding a frequency or vibration. So, and again, these words are meant to be used loosely. So if that wheel stops spinning, it's slowing down and it's coming. I wouldn't say that the guides or beings have to bring it down to our level, lower their frequency in order to match ours for us to see them. But that could be one interpretation. That'd be a very simple way of looking at it. So the more we raise our frequency, so to speak, or vibration, the more charge we hold and the higher vibration we get into. So the more charge or frequency we hold, the higher vibration we're able to get into, the more we are able to see our brothers and sisters. And I'm not talking about the ships, because theoretically the ships are a lower vibration than even some of the beings, right? Because again, not all of these beings need a ship. They don't need some, and a lot of these ships are living material too. That's a whole other. So the reason I'm sharing this is we recognize that they're around us, and we recognize that there may be more than just one, because it's a collective that makes that wheel turn. Okay. So the representation of our guides and galactics sometimes isn't even necessarily what they really look like. Sometimes they have to show up for us in a cloud because we're seeing them in plasma, perhaps around us or in dream time, and we aren't recognizing that that's what we're seeing. So there's a lot of different angles and directions I could take this, but I just wanted to share that it's the more I've become, the more work I've done. And that's another video as well. What work have I done? But the more I become an embodiment of my higher frequency lineages or realizations or brothers and sisters, or however you want to look at it, the easier it is for me to see them, to communicate with them, and to, right. Exactly what I just said. So we're being invited really to get back within, because this is what's important. If we were supposed to be in Andromeda, or if we were supposed to be in the Pleiades, or if we were supposed to be having that experience, we would be. And from another perspective, we are. Okay, because we are not just, we're in many places at once, so to speak. But we chose to come here on planet Earth for multiple reasons, not just one reason. And that's another video too. I could go into a completely different video on that. And my guidance team, my entourage, my higher guidance team, my HGT, my highest aspect, my other versions of myself, my family, is hammering in, honing in, we are home. And the more we see that, and the more we are less desperate to get outside of that and to look for this outside entity to come to our rescue. Not that that's what we're doing or that's what you're doing. I'm just using that as an example. The more it shows up for us, because it is like that law of attraction. If we're searching and looking and we're doing all this stuff, which I did read a book on channeling, and I did want to connect in with my guides that way, because we are natural channels and tuners. Again, another video I could do separately just on that. It's about here, because if we're channeling just because it's a galactic doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows. And it doesn't mean that it's it's a higher vibration. It could be that it's just in a different frequency than we are. Another video too, right? I could go so many different directions. So get back into our bodies, get back connected with Mother Earth, right? Mother Earth, our bodies are portals, connections to all of this, and recognize that we are walking avatars. So we are connected in with all of that if we choose to be, and it can show up for us, whether it lands on our front lawn or shows up in the passing of a cloud or a shooting star, or shows up for us in somebody telling us exactly what we needed to hear in that right moment to get us through our day. That is the magic, and that is our galactic family. Just because you don't hear what other teachers are talking about, who I really enjoy a lot of what the galactic representatives share, we might be hearing the same message in a different way. We just may not be hearing it in the way that we think we should be hearing it. So I wanted to share that as well. And so in love and light, there's so many more places I could go with this. Our galactic family is helping us. They are there. We are not alone. However, part of the human experience is feeling that way so that we can get back into us, to open up our own channels, to connect with what we need, what our bodies need. And in doing that, we are helping our galactic family, by the way. So I guess I could go a little deeper into that. I'm just going to do this till I run out of room, because that's really important. I'm being like prodded, like, yes, keep going. If we are making an impact, if we are literally, and I'm hearing impaction, compression, charge, and we are literally creating a reality that makes it possible for A, our brothers and sisters to land, B, those to come out of inner earth that wish to express, C, our new star seed family that are being born into young children, right? That are crystal children and coming up beyond that even. We're in support of all of that, but more importantly, we're supporting ourselves, because we can't support all of that if we're not eating the right foods, if we're not doing the work, unless it just happens automatically for us, and that's a gift, although the other is a gift as well, in a different way. Then it's irrelevant, because we're not, again, I bring this up all the time. If the plane has an issue, you put your mask on first before you put it on your child or the person next to you. Because if you can't breathe, then you're not able to help anybody. And you're also making less of an impact. So focus on this. What am I doing to make me happy? If we want to connect in with our galactic family, I'm being guided to share, maybe we already are. So what are some things that have shown up for us? And I'll do a separate video on this. I'll give some examples, and maybe that'll help. So in the meantime, it's about faith and trust sometimes. And it's about looking for the magic and noticing it in our everyday lives, because that is our guides. That is our galactic family. That is our shaman ancestors, right? So recognizing that, that's part of the experience that we came here to have. And learning how to create with that can be is very powerful. So, in love and light, from my galactic family to yours, from my shaman family to yours, but all of this earth tribe, this rainbow tribe, this is a journey and it's challenging for a lot of us. And it's time for us to recognize that we are the avatars. So operating from that frequency is our power, and taking our power back and recognizing that we don't have to give it to some Pleiadian who is telling us something that maybe doesn't resonate with us, because that aspect may not even be our highest, right? And that's, again, a whole other video. In love and light, guys, namaste.